They are a diverse group of superheroes. God, I love us.
Steven Tyler is a name that represents rock and roll royalty. With his famous scarves, wild hair, and that voice nobody can mistake for anyone else, the Aerosmith frontman has been performing on stages for more than 50 years. Behind all the screams and fame, Tyler has always been someone who studies music carefully. He knows exactly which bands helped shape him into the legend he became. Recently, Tyler opened up about his 7 favorite bands of all time. These were not just random choices mentioned in some casual interview. These were the artists who inspired him, challenged him, and maybe even haunted him throughout his career. Sources claim that some of these relationships were not as smooth as fans might think. From British invasion giants to blues rock pioneers, Tyler's list reads like a collection of the most important names in rock history. But here is where things get interesting. Reports suggest admiration and rivalry often went together for Tyler. Some say his competitive nature turned respect into something darker. Tyler's ego allegedly clashed with some of these legendary acts in ways the public never saw. The drama behind these relationships is real, and it reveals a complicated side of the rock star that many people do not know about. Steven Tyler grew up worshiping the Beatles like millions of kids did in the 1960s. He watched them perform on The Ed Sullivan Show and felt his entire world change forever. Those 4 boys from Liverpool showed him that rock and roll could be something magical. Tyler has said many times that without the Beatles, there would be no Aerosmith. They were his first love and his biggest inspiration. The good stuff, as Tyler has explained, is in the writing and the songs. But that pure admiration allegedly grew complicated over the years. Sources claim Tyler started feeling jealous of the Beatles' untouchable legacy. No matter how many hits Aerosmith scored, they were always compared to the Beatles. Reports suggest this bothered him deeply. He reportedly told friends he wanted to surpass them, to be remembered as greater than Lennon and McCartney. Industry insiders allegedly heard Tyler make snarky comments about Paul McCartney at private events. He supposedly said McCartney was living off yesterday's glory. Other sources claim Tyler felt frustrated that American bands never got the same respect as British invasion groups. The love was still there, but underneath, there was allegedly a competition that never went away. Tyler wanted to be a Beatle, but he could only be himself. Reports suggest Tyler even avoided Beatles tribute events, feeling they overshadowed living artists. Sources claim he once said Aerosmith's catalog was just as strong, but never got the same worship. The admiration remained deep, but the shadow was allegedly darker than most people realized. The Rolling Stones were everything Steven Tyler wanted to be. Mick Jagger's snake-like moves, his swagger, and his attitude became things Tyler studied like a textbook. He copied Jagger's stage presence and made it his own. In interviews, Tyler always praised the Stones as the greatest rock band ever. He used to joke about being called a Mick Jagger look-alike, talking about how Jagger had lips for miles and could swallow the earth. But that respect allegedly came with a sharp edge of jealousy. Sources claim Tyler felt trapped in Jagger's shadow his entire career. Every music critic compared them. Every journalist asked if he was just copying Mick. Reports suggest this drove him crazy behind closed doors. He allegedly told bandmates he was tired of being called the American Mick Jagger. Insiders say he wanted his own identity and his own throne. At award shows and festivals, the tension was reportedly real. Sources claim Tyler avoided Jagger backstage, not wanting awkward conversations. Others say Tyler made passive-aggressive comments about the Stones in private. He allegedly called them lucky rather than talented. The debate over who was the better frontman supposedly consumed him. Tyler respected the Stones deeply, but he allegedly also wanted to destroy their legend and build his own empire on top of it. This competitive fire burned underneath every public compliment he gave them. The professional respect was genuine, but the personal rivalry was intense, according to those who knew him well. Led Zeppelin was not just a band to Steven Tyler. They were like gods walking on earth. Their power, their mystery, and their sheer talent overwhelmed everyone in the 70s. Tyler has admitted that Zeppelin's blues sound directly shaped Aerosmith's early albums. Robert Plant's soaring vocals showed him what a rock voice could really do. Jimmy Page's guitar work set impossible standards. But that reverence allegedly came with crushing pressure. Sources claim Tyler felt intimidated by Zeppelin's mystique. While Aerosmith was clawing for success, Zeppelin was already legendary. Reports suggest Tyler struggled with feelings of inadequacy. He supposedly told friends he could never match Plant's vocal range or Page's genius. Industry insiders claim he practiced obsessively, trying to reach their level. The comparison game allegedly tortured him throughout the 70s. Music critics constantly put Aerosmith second to Zeppelin. Sources say Tyler resented living in their massive shadow. He reportedly made bitter comments about how Zeppelin got all the credit for blues rock. Others claim he felt his band worked harder but received less respect. Tyler loved Zeppelin with all his heart, but allegedly he also hated how they made everything else seem small and insignificant. Reports suggest Tyler avoided listening to Zeppelin albums during Aerosmith's recording sessions, fearing the comparison would paralyze him. Sources claim he once said that Zeppelin's breakup in 1980 was a secret relief, finally giving other bands room to breathe and claim their own space in rock history. The Who brought raw energy that Steven Tyler could not ignore. Pete Townshend's explosive guitar smashing and Roger Daltrey's powerful voice created something wild and dangerous. Tyler loved their rebellious spirit and theatrical performances. He has mentioned The Who countless times as major influences on his own stage presence. Their opera rock masterpieces showed him that rock could be art. But sources claim Tyler and band members clashed at various rock festivals and award ceremonies. Reports suggest personality conflicts erupted backstage at events where both bands performed. Tyler allegedly could not handle Daltrey's tough guy attitude. Insiders say heated arguments broke out about what real rock and roll meant. The British versus American rock debate supposedly fueled the fire. Sources claim Tyler felt disrespected by the Who's camp, like American bands were seen as inferior copycats. He reportedly made sharp comments about British bands acting superior. Others say Townshend dismissed Aerosmith as Beatles and Stones wannabes at a party. Tyler allegedly never forgave that insult. The admiration remains strong for their music, but personally, sources suggest Tyler and The Who could not stand being in the same room together. This created an awkward dynamic at industry events where both acts were present. The Yardbirds were a guitar player's paradise. Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Jimmy Page all passed through that band like lightning. Steven Tyler watched in awe as these guitar gods created blues rock magic. The Yardbirds showed the world what an electric guitar could really do. Tyler has credited them with teaching him how important a great guitarist was to a rock band. But that guitar worship allegedly became Tyler's personal nightmare. Sources claim he grew resentful of how guitarists always got more attention than singers. Reports suggest Tyler felt constantly overshadowed by Joe Perry and Brad Whitford in Aerosmith. He supposedly complained that fans cared more about guitar solos than his vocals. Industry insiders say this jealousy traced back to the Yardbirds' influence. Tyler allegedly made bitter comments about guitar-centric bands stealing the vocalist's spotlight. Others say Tyler told friends that singers did the real work, but guitarists got all the glory. Reports suggest he resented how critics called bands guitar-driven instead of praising frontmen. Others say Tyler specifically mentioned the Yardbirds when venting about this frustration. He loved their music deeply, no question. But allegedly, the Yardbirds created a complex that haunted Tyler forever about sharing the stage with guitar heroes. This insecurity about being overshadowed by instrumentalists became a recurring theme in his career. The Kinks brought something different to rock and roll. Ray Davies wrote songs that told stories about real people with clever lyrics and British wit.
His created masterpieces like Waterloo Sunset and Lola. Tyler admired Davies as one of rock's greatest storytellers. He praised the Kinks for showing that rock lyrics could be poetry, not just simple love songs. But that admiration allegedly hid deep professional jealousy. Sources claim Tyler felt underrated as a lyricist compared to Davies. Reports suggest he resented how critics called Davies a genius while dismissing Tyler's writing as typical rock stuff. Industry insiders say Tyler studied Davies obsessively, trying to crack the secret of his songwriting magic. He allegedly complained that British songwriters got more respect than Americans. At music industry events, the tension was reportedly noticeable. Sources claim Tyler made passive-aggressive comments about Davies in interviews, praising him while subtly putting himself forward. Others say Tyler told friends he wrote better melodies, but Davies got all the intellectual credit. Reports suggest he felt trapped as just a rock screamer, while Davies was considered an artist. The competition for rock poet status allegedly consumed him. Tyler respected the Kinks immensely, but sources say Ray Davies was the ghost he could never escape. This literary rivalry aided him more than many of the musical comparisons. The Animals hit Steven Tyler like a freight train. Eric Burdon's voice was pure, raw emotion wrapped in blues power. When Tyler heard House of the Rising Sun as a teenager, everything changed. That deep, soulful growl showed him what a rock voice could be. Tyler has called Burdon his ultimate vocal inspiration, the singer who made him want to scream into a microphone. But Eric Burdon allegedly became Tyler's biggest insecurity. Sources claim he spent his entire career trying to match Burdon's bluesy power and never felt he succeeded. Reports suggest he practiced Burdon's style obsessively, studying every note and inflection. Industry insiders say Tyler would listen to Animals records before shows, trying to capture that same emotional rawness. He allegedly told close friends that Burdon was the one singer he could never surpass. The comparison haunted him professionally, too. Music critics often mentioned Burdon when reviewing Tyler's vocals, and allegedly it stung every time. Sources claim Tyler made comments expressing that while he was good, Eric was untouchable. Others say he admitted in private moments that Burdon's voice had something he would never achieve. The respect was absolute and genuine, but allegedly so was the burden of forever chasing a ghost he could not catch. This vocal insecurity shaped how Tyler approached his own singing throughout his entire career. These 7 bands represent more than just Steven Tyler's musical influences. They represent a complex web of inspiration, competition, jealousy, and respect that defined his journey as an artist. Each band gave him something important, whether it was the Beatles showing him that rock could be magical, the Rolling Stones teaching him about stage presence, Led Zeppelin demonstrating the power of blues rock, The Who proving that rock could be theatrical art, the Yardbirds highlighting the importance of great guitarists, the Kinks showing that lyrics could be poetry, or the Animals revealing what raw vocal emotion could achieve. But with each inspiration came a shadow. Tyler allegedly struggled with comparisons, with feeling overshadowed, with wanting to be recognized as equal or superior to these legends. His competitive nature meant that admiration was rarely simple or pure. It was mixed with rivalry, with resentment, with a burning desire to prove himself. Sources suggest he spent his career both honoring these influences and fighting against their shadows, trying to carve out his own unique place in rock history while constantly being measured against the very artists who inspired him.
Tyler's story shows how influence works in the music industry. It is rarely a simple matter of one artist learning from another. Instead, it involves complex emotions, professional rivalries, and personal insecurities. The bands Tyler loved most were also the ones who allegedly caused him the most anxiety and frustration. They pushed him to be better, but they also made him feel inadequate.
They inspired his greatest achievements, but they also cast shadows he spent his entire career trying to escape. Understanding these complicated relationships helps explain both Tyler's incredible success and his alleged struggles with ego and competition. He was driven not just by love of music, but by a need to prove himself against the legends who came before him. Every hit song, every legendary performance, every decade of success was partly about honoring his influences and partly about trying to surpass them. This dual motivation made him both a devoted student of rock and roll and a fiercely competitive artist determined to claim his own throne. The drama behind these relationships, whether fully accurate or partly exaggerated, reveals important truths about artistic ambition and the price of influence. Tyler's journey shows that being inspired by greatness can be both a blessing and a curse, that admiration can coexist with rivalry, and that even rock legends struggle with feeling overshadowed by their heroes. His 7 favorite bands were not just his influences, but also his competition, his inspiration, his torment, and ultimately his motivation to become the legend he is today.